Hello, everyone, and welcome. Whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, where you are, I'm delighted to have you join us today. Let's go to the next slide. Welcome to the 2024 OASIS Annual General Meeting. My name is Gertjan Jansen, and I have the honor of serving as chair of the OASIS Board of Directors. It's wonderful to see such a strong turnout for this important event. This meeting is held annually to conduct the official business of the corporation, review our performance of the past year, and provide you, our valued members, with insights into OASIS, its accomplishments, and exciting new initiatives. As we move through the agenda, we encourage you to participate actively. If any questions arise, or if you have motions or ballots to propose, please enter them in the question panel of the Zoom interface. Our team will be monitoring and will ensure your input is addressed during the Q&A session at the end of this meeting. During that time, I will also guide us through the requirements for conducting any official voting business. Lastly, I'd like to mention that this meeting is being recorded and the presentation will be made available to all members following the event. Thank you once again for joining us. Let's get started. Next slide, please. So, before we dive into the details, let me give you a quick overview of what we have planned for today. We'll start by walking you through our 2023 annual report, where we'll touch on key topics such as membership trends, community accomplishments, and provide a look at our financials and budget. In addition, we're excited to showcase 4 new initiatives that promise to drive further innovation and collaboration within OASIS. Before we move on, I'd like to introduce Kathy Mayo-Figgenbaum, our Chief Financial Officer, who will be giving a detailed overview of our financials in a bit, and a special mention to Jane Harnard, our Manager of Events, and Mary Beth Minto, our Content Manager, who have been working tirelessly behind the scenes to make today's meeting running smoothly. Next slide, please. First of all, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge a recent change within OASIS. Unfortunately, our Executive Director, Francis Billand, has left the organization at the end of July. Francis joined us in 2022 and guided OASIS through a period of significant transformation, including our migration to the Higher Logic platform. During his tenure, OASIS expanded its technical agenda into exciting new areas such as AI, supply chain integrity, disinformation, and sustainability. We are deeply appreciative of everything Francis accomplished for our community and for his leadership during this dynamic period. We will be opening a position shortly to continue driving the organization forward. Additionally, I'd like to mention that the board is actively working on several improvements, including updates to our bylaws, aimed at making things easier and more efficient for our members. We are committed to ensuring OASIS remains a responsive and member-focused organization. Next slide, please. So, today, I would also like to celebrate the retirement of one of our most valued and respected team members, Chet Ensign. Chet has been with OASIS since 2011 as our Chief Technical Community Steward, or also many of us know him as our TC admin. But his contributions to OASIS stretch back to even further, to its very beginnings in 1993, when his employer, Logical Design Solutions, was a founding member of the SGML Open, which later became OASIS Open. Before officially joining OASIS, Chet made significant strides in electronic publishing and data architecture with Matthew Bender and Company, LexisNexis, and Bloomberg Law. As a member of the Technical Advisory Board from 2003 to 2006, he played a key role in shaping OASIS its direction and organizing our symposia. Chet's contributions to standards like Legal XML, XACML, and Legal Citation have left an indelible mark on our community. His leadership, knowledge, and unwavering dedication helped us guide through crucial phases of growth and innovation. As Chet steps into retirement, his legacy at OASIS remains strong. We will miss his presence but his influence will continue to guide us forward. Chet, thank you for everything you've done for OASIS Open. We wish you all the best in this exciting new chapter. Chet, I'd like to invite you to share a few words with us. The floor is yours.
Thanks very much, Gershon. I appreciate the many kind words. I didn't set out originally at the beginning of my career thinking that I was going to end up being in a place like OASIS. I had more prosaic sort of typical career plans, but OASIS came along, and you know, I feel that I've had the privilege of living through history. I doubt there are many people on this call who experienced firsthand those days when building electronic publishing systems was a very lucrative business because you needed a lot of expertise to do it. Well before you could type a couple of angle brackets and the letters HTML and have a global document that anybody could read. We were building these things from scratch. SGML Open came along, and it just seemed common sense that we'd build foundations so that systems could be put together, more efficiently and without so much cost. But when I came here, I found that that this was a goal to open up information, to make it accessible, and it's been an amazing period of time, both before I joined OASIS and after. In fact, I'm wearing a T-shirt from the SGML Open workshop in 1997, which is where I believe John Bosak said, "Let's call it OASIS." And people said, "Oh, that's really great. What does it mean?" He says, "I don't know. I just like OASIS. Let's figure out something that will work with it." So any of you who've ever wondered why we have such a wordy name, that was because we were trying to fit something to OASIS. But I got the chance to come, and it's been an honor. It hasn't been a job. It's been an honor to help OASIS become a more productive organization, to help OASIS become more efficient, streamlined, more open, and really to help everybody in the membership accomplish their goals. I have a lot of people to thank for the years. Scott and Carol, of course, who made sure that I saw the job opening as soon as it was posted back in 2011. Jamie, Jane, Kathy, Dee Shore, and of course our powerhouse publisher, Paul Knight, who's also retired. So my thanks, and of course my thanks to all the many great board members that I worked with over the years. It's been a privilege to serve you all, and thank you for this recognition. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chet, and we wish you all the best in your retirement.
And I think I have this package here from Kathy that I need to open, and sorry, hang on. This is rather challenging to open. Well, it is a beautiful box. With a lovely watch. I don't know if you can all see that or not. So
yes, that's visible.
Thank you for this, and thank you for all these years and letting me play a role in this fabulous organization.
Thank you, Chet. All the best once again. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Our annual reports 2023. So as part of today's meeting, I'm pleased to highlight the key points from our 2023 annual report and financial review, both of which were shared with our membership in April. These reports provide a comprehensive overview of how OASIS Open has performed over the past year. From the board's perspective, our most important duty is to uphold our fiduciary responsibilities to you, our members. I'm very happy to report that, as in previous years, there have been no signs of malfeasance in the operation of the corporation. Additionally, our financial statements and management responsibilities have undergone a thorough review by an independent and certified external auditor. The outcome? A clear confirmation that OASIS is managed responsibly and with financial integrity. All of this is also captured in the annual report, demonstrating that our organization continues to operate in a stable and transparent manner. For those interested in diving into the details, a summary is included in today's presentation, and we'll take a closer look at some of the key figures shortly. The full report, of course, is available on our website for your review. Now let's explore some of the highlights. Next slide, please. I'd like to now turn your attention to the membership breakdown, which compares our membership at the close of 2022 with the close of 2023. While the total number of OASIS members show a slight decrease, this trend is partly due to some of our committees and projects reaching their natural conclusions. It also reflects shifts in how member organizations are choosing to focus their resources and efforts. However, there's good news here as well. Despite this slight dip, OASIS remains a vibrant and growing global community. Renewals, new membership, and fresh initiatives continue to bring in new members, partners, sponsors, and experts, all of whom are drawn by a shared passion for collaboration and openness. In essence, while the landscape may be evolving, the core of what OASIS makes strong continues to thrive. We are adapting, growing, and bringing in new experts and ideas that will ensure our future remains bright and innovative. Let's look at some of the accomplishments of our member community in 2023. The next slide, please. So our members, through their tireless work and dedication, continued to push for boundaries of innovation and collaboration. 2023 saw the approval of several key OASIS standards, including contributions from the PKCS 11, SARIF, CodeList, and DocBook technical committees, as well as from the OSLC Open Project. But also 13 committee project specifications were approved, further enriching our standards landscape. And notably, the OASIS XLIFT 2.1 and CSAF 2.0 standards were submitted to ISO, marking a key step in their broader adoption. While not every committee or project reached the milestone of an approved standard or specification, each one made meaningful progress towards their technical goals. Every effort brings us closer to fulfilling our shared vision. Next slide. Now let me show you some end-of-year statistics that highlight the overall value OASIS delivers to the marketplace. 190 OASIS standards delivered to date. 46 active technical committees leading the charge on various fronts, and 6 active open projects bringing innovations to the table. And we have an impressive 558 committee or project specifications that drive global collaboration and interoperability. These numbers reflect not just the work done in 2023, but the ongoing commitment of our members to create meaningful standards that serve industries worldwide. Before we move forward, I'd now like to invite our Chief Financial Officer, Kathy Mayo, to provide us with a financial overview. Kathy has been instrumental in ensuring the financial health of OASIS Open, and she'll walk us through the key highlights of the past year. Kathy, the floor is yours. Kathy, are you ready to speak?
I am. There I am. Thank you, Gershon, and welcome everyone. Hi, I'm Kathy, and I will be presenting the financial reports on behalf of Daniel Rydell, our treasurer. Before I dive into the reports, I would like to highlight a few key financial impacts from 2023. In 2023, OASIS had a very challenging year. In the onset of the year, OASIS had anticipated that 2023 was going to be an investment year as the organization began to explore new opportunities and new areas of growth. As the year progressed, it was evident that it would take longer to build on these new initiatives, and as a result, revenues were lower than expected. At the same time, the organization was also faced with changes to its team. We had the retirement of some key employees, Chet Ensign, who joined us today, and Scott McGrath, who was our Chief Operating Officer. It was necessary to increase our spending during this time so that we were able to provide the staffing resources needed during these transitions. While the deficit was significantly higher than budgeted, OASIS was able to maintain a stable cash position of $1.2 million and slightly more than 7 months of operating reserves. The board and management is closely monitoring all of OASIS activities to ensure the continued support of all of the OASIS communities. Next slide. In 2023, you can see that the revenues did improve slightly. However, the operating expenses were significantly higher. Once again, due in part to the retirement of longtime employees, and we had overlapping new personnel expenses in that. The result was a deficit of $616,000, which was $463,000 higher than the planned overspend at the beginning of the year. Next slide. The results of 2023 appear here in the balance sheet, most notably in the current assets, where the cash balance is, as well as the reduction in net assets in 2023 to just under $1 million. Next slide. As we look forward into 2024, the OASIS Board of Directors approved a dues increase effective on January 1st in order to keep up with rising costs. OASIS continues to invest in TC development and open projects, implementing new community tools, marketing research, and staff resources. OASIS is working diligently to end 2024 with a balanced budget. The full report of the annual review is available on the OASIS website if you want to look into it further. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, for those insights. Now, with a clear understanding of our members' accomplishments and financial standing, let's now move on to new technical committees and open projects. Next slide, please. So, I'm thrilled to introduce 4 exciting new initiatives that have recently launched or are about to get underway. Over the next 20 minutes, we'll hear from 4 leaders in their respective fields, each sharing the innovative way they're driving work they're driving within the OASIS community. To kick things off, I'd like to introduce Jay White, my fellow director on the OASIS board and co-chair of the OASIS of the Open Supply Chain Information Modeling, or short OSIM Technical Committee. Jay will give us a glimpse into the transformative work happening within OSIM. Jay, the floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you, Gershon. And can you everyone see and hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. OSIM, exciting new technical committee, focused on the standardization of the information provided to systems and applications, etc., towards standardizing a way in which many different industries, including your software, your hardware vendors, supply chain partners, etc., receives information in order to properly communicate across one another on the same sheet of music. This is a very exciting initiative. This is just getting started. It's just underway. And currently, we're focused on identifying key work streams that we want to bring up and develop. We're also working on understanding the taxonomy currently in place and the definitions that are currently in place, across the supply chain, in order to build a standardized taxonomy that's usable for all. Once again, extremely exciting, and water's warm. Please come and join. Next slide. So this is how we get involved. Whether you want to actively contribute in the decision-making process or just observe, you will need to be an OASIS member. If your employer is already on our current member list, then just simply submit a request. Your primary contact will approve that request, and you're free to join. Next slide. I'm sorry, there should have been a slide before that. We meet every other Tuesday at 10 a.m. We just had a meeting yesterday, so please come find us at our next meeting. That will be 2 weeks from yesterday at 10 a.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay, for that insightful overview.
Thank you, Christian.
Next, we turn to Max Lesser, who will present on the DAD CDM. Max has been deeply involved in shaping this project, and I'm excited for him to share its potential impact with you. Max, over to you.
Hi, thank you. My name is Max Lesser, and I am a co-chair of the Defense Against Disinformation Common Data Model. Next slide, please. So DAD CDM is looking to extend STIX to better model various forms of information manipulation. And this can be anything from an influence operation to even sophisticated forms of social engineering that we would typically associate with more conventional cyber attacks. So to make this more concrete, it can be anything from a network of fake news websites to a social media botnet that is distributing malicious links. Next slide, please. So I want to make this very clear because the term disinformation has become a bit of a contentious word. In no way does this project look to determine what is and is not true. Our understanding of the word disinformation is more just any form of deceptive manipulation of information. In no way are we looking to restrict free speech or serve any political or ideological agenda. And again, disinformation is a common term that people are familiar with, but really what this project is looking to do is model a variety of forms of malicious activity online that share common infrastructure, such as social media accounts and also similar behaviors as well. Next slide, please. So I think to help make this more concrete, here's 3 use cases that we envision DAD CDM being able to serve. One is helping cybersecurity professionals better describe and defend against social engineering schemes and cyber-enabled influence operations. So those are the sort of threats we were discussing earlier, like social media botnets, but also with the advent of the increasing adoption of generative AI, threat actors might be able to conduct more sophisticated forms of social engineering, and those are other types of threats we're looking to model. Secondly, empowering private organizations to better safeguard brand reputation. So a huge commercial application of this type of work is helping private organizations understand how their brand is being discussed and potentially abused. So that's another application. And lastly, or the last here, there's many other ones that aren't listed here, but helping various stakeholders across the public and private sector better detect, preempt, and mitigate foreign information manipulation and interference, also known as FIMI, which has sort of become the preferred term for influence operations internationally. Next slide, please. So to talk about our achievements, this project is still in its nascent stages. This year, we stood up our technical steering committee, which is really exciting because this is really the engine of the project that is driving it forward. And currently, the TSC has two focus areas, which is conducting a literature review of relevant research and modeling historic threats using sticks and relevant extensions to see where the gaps are, how the sticks needs to be extended to more fully model these other types of threats. Next slide, please. Just a quick overview of the project timeline. So now we're currently in September, and we are moving into the actual beta testing stage of the data model. So this is the next stage we're entering, and we aim to actually have something out in a pretty aggressive, expedited timeline, which I think we all are committed to, given the severity of the threats that we're seeking to model. Next slide, please. So how to get involved? You can participate. This is an open project, right? So you can participate in a free capacity on the technical steering committee. You just have to sign an agreement, a contributor agreement, and then you can join. And so you can join the technical steering committee for free. But if you'd like to have more of a hand in shaping the strategic direction of the project, you can also join the project governance board, which I'm a member of, and that requires a sponsorship. So those are the two options. And you can also just join our Slack channel for free if you want to observe the project and communicate with various members. So that's all. Thanks for letting me share, and I think I will end there. Thank you.
Thank you, Max, for that great presentation. Now I'd like to introduce Justin Murphy, who will speak about OpenEOX. Let's listen to Justin's insights on what's ahead. Justin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gershon. And can I just get a confirmation you can hear me okay?
Yes, loud and clear.
Great. Hello, everyone. As Gershon said, I'm Justin Murphy. I work for the US government for DHS CISA, and I'm going to be here to talk to you today about a problem that we are trying to solve with this concept called OpenEOX. Next slide, please. So we're going to talk about, first, why do we need OpenEOX? What are the problems around end of life and end of support, and the lack of a standardized way to communicate the end of a product's life cycle? Not only end of life, end of support, the end of X, whatever X might mean for organizations or industry, the status of that end of X for those products. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we've been working on the TC to develop this standard to address this gap, and how we're working to integrate into the ecosystem, and how we envision what that might look like, working together with other existing standards, things like software bills of materials, SBOMs, or another OASIS standard, CSAF, and which is one of the implementations of VEX, the Vulnerability Exploitability Exchange. CSAF, one of the implementations, and how we can work together not only with those, but other important standards and formats that are crucial for security, as well as vulnerability management. And not only how it integrates into the ecosystem, but how do we develop it in a machine-readable format and build tools for the standard with automation in mind? Because we're in 2024. If we're approaching 2025. If we're not building things with automation in mind, we're doing it wrong, in my opinion. And there's some sort of irony here. I'm a co-chair for this group, and my fellow co-chair will be speaking to you about a really exciting new initiative after me. There's irony, and we're talking about automation and the fact that right now a lot of time and attention and resources are being thrown at new and emerging technology, and rightfully so. I'll be actually traveling in a couple weeks to Vienna, Austria for the Open Source Summit Europe. And there will be all kinds of new and exciting talks about AI models and tools and quantum computing. But we can't forget that there is also this long existing problem of how do we address and prepare for our technology that is coming to the end of its life, the end of its product life cycle. But we are still using that technology on a daily basis, even though it's approaching its end. So let's start defining that problem and at the same time talk about why do we care. Next slide, please. We could also ask ourselves, some questions about, to help frame this problem or put it in perspective. How old is the cell phone you have? How old is your car? How old is your wireless router at home? How old is your operating system? You see the image I have on the slide here. And that's just talking about things, devices we use on a day-to-day basis. What about the things an average citizen isn't thinking about that they're using, but is still using every day, such as our nation's critical infrastructure and our industrial control systems, where outdated, when we're talking about OT and ICS, legacy software is the norm and is ubiquitous when we're talking about our nation's critical infrastructure. And you see this example here. If the font's a little bit small, I apologize. It's great that Microsoft is letting us know, because actually in a lot of cases, you might not know when your software or hardware is end of life or end of support. But we see this post that they will be ending technical support and security updates for Windows 10. And pay attention to the last sentence. It says your PC will still work, but we recommend moving to Windows 11. They also have information about other previous versions that haven't been supported for a couple of years or several years. But again, these PCs will work. And you might think, who's still using Windows 7 out there? Well, you'd be surprised. And a lot of our nation's critical infrastructure is running these types of operating systems, or even prior versions in many cases. So those systems were designed not to break, not to be turned off. So if it isn't broke, you don't fix it, right? And what if you have that situation where you can't update or replace? There's some key information missing here. What do we do about it other than update or replace the device? What are the risks involved if we don't or can't? Because you're saying it will still work, right? What if the cost or the impact of replacing the device, what if turning off the device to update or replace it is greater than the cost of the risk or the cost that a potential adversary is going to leverage the end of life or end of support software or hardware to attack our nation's critical infrastructure? So these are real problems that are out, that are existing. These aren't problems that we're afraid might happen. They're already the reality. And so what do I do about it? So this is a real problem. And even though this information is in this image, it's being put out there. Thank you. That's great. You still have to search for it manually. To this day, so many of our vulnerability management processes are manual or mostly manual processes. So even though there's so many great and new emerging technologies, there's currently no standardized way to determine and communicate if a product, whether it's software, whether it's hardware, commercial or open source, or even an AI model, that it's end of life or end of support. Next slide, please. And you might think, why is someone from the US government here talking to me about this problem? Well, we do, in fact, move a little bit slow in the government because this is a long-standing problem. But finally, in early last year, we said that we need to do something about this. This is the National Cybersecurity Strategy, kind of the fundamental document that has been driving or shaping cybersecurity policy and strategy in the United States over the last couple of years and even globally to some extent. And it says we're going to develop a process for identifying and mitigating the risk presented by unsupported software that is widely used or supports critical infrastructure. Next slide. Another reason this is a priority from the government perspective or CISA's perspective, our former, he has recently moved on, Executive Assistant Director for Cybersecurity, Eric Goldstein, said, United States government, we are probably the worst actor in terms of using out-of-date, end-of-life, end-of-support software and hardware. So this is really, really important for us. And these are the reasons why US government cares about it, why we as a vulnerability management ecosystem care about this problem, and why we here at OASIS care about this problem. Next slide. So we've talked about the problem, no standardized method for determining or communicating the status of products life cycle. And we've talked about why we care about, but what are some of the additional problems that we're facing? And one of those, and we're actually currently working to address this, the activity we're doing in the TC, it gets pretty tricky when you're talking about end of life, end of support, end of sales, end of maintenance, not to mention not only that, but the distinctions and nuances that can come from software versus hardware, also open source. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when I wrap up, but that's what we're currently working on in the TC, is coming up with a common set of definitions for the standard. Next slide. So I mentioned the US government is involved in this initiative. That's why I'm here speaking to you today and why I'm a co-chair. The National Cybersecurity says, we need to do something about this. But the government's slow. And luckily we have very brilliant people like my colleague Omar Santos, who's going to be speaking to you soon out there, who already knew long before the National Cybersecurity was released that this was a problem. He's been doing this work for years and years and has faced this problem longer than CISA has actually probably been an agency. And Omar had this great idea to propose the creation of a TC that would address the need for a standardized way to exchange information about the end of life and end of support status for software and hardware products, to find a unified, transparent, and an efficient way of addressing this problem. And provide that support for software and hardware for vendors, as well as the open source community. So we have OpenEOX. We're currently working on a couple different things. As I mentioned, we're spending time on coming up with a common set of definitions for end of X, whatever X means, for different parts of the ecosystem and different vendors and maintainers. And even for what it means in the context of software versus hardware, open source, all the above. So we're building the standard to be machine readable and with automation in mind. And one last slide before we get on how to get involved. And that helps us, being machine readable, it helps us imagine where this might fit. We're working on developing a lightweight portable schema, as well as a standalone schema that will allow us to integrate into the ecosystem with other standards and data formats and tools. So if you have a representation in a machine readable format of what is end of life, end of support, then very easily we imagine this could be integrated with other standards. When you're talking about SBOM, you're talking about the two popular data formats of SPDX or CycloneDX, with VEX in the case for CSAF, another OASIS standard, the Common Security Advisory Framework. That's for machine readable security advisories. So now we're talking about getting a machine readable security advisory that contains detailed information about the end of life, end of support, end of sales, end of maintenance, whatever, end of X status of a product or products. And having that type of information in conjunction with the information from an SBOM or a VEX or a security advisory can really help optimize the support we have when it comes for the life cycle of a given product. And OpenEOX, you see at the bottom of this diagram, is also meant to be a standalone independent schema and can operate independently from an SBOM or a security advisory. There's a lot of different use cases people might have. So last slide. We'd love for you to get involved. New members are welcome. You can look at our website, the links at the bottom, also our GitHub repository. Whether you're a member of the TC or not, please submit an issue, tell us, help us out with, coming up with those common set of definitions and other issues that we might have blind spots that we're not thinking of yet. You can reach out to OASIS. There's a lot of good information here about how you can join this effort, and we'd love to have you. So I'll pass it back over to Gershon.
Thank you, Justin, for that exciting update. So it's my pleasure to hand the floor to Omar Santos, my fellow director on the OASIS board and co-chair of the COSI Open Project. Omar will wrap up our showcase with a look at the important work happening within COSI. Omar, over to you.
Thank you so much, Gershon. And I'm super excited about all the activities that are happening at OASIS right now. And thank you, Jay and Justin, for walking us through some of the amazing work that is actually happening in our technical committees. I'm also super excited to share a few updates on one of the most successful open project launches, not only at OASIS, but in the whole industry. That is the Coalition for Secure AI. So if you don't mind going to the next slide. Actually, before we get started, I want to thank the OASIS staff, including Carol, Claudia, Kelly, Jane, and many others that I'm probably escaping right now, that have been super instrumental on the launch of this open project. Without their help, this definitely couldn't even happen at all. But COSI, for short, the Coalition for Secure AI, is a group of security and AI experts from many industry leading organizations, right? We have the mission to create and share best practices for securing AI models, for securing applications, and the deployments. Not only concentrating on the model itself, but everything surrounding, an AI implementation and AI application. Next slide, please. So, of course, the list of sponsors and members to continue to grow almost on a daily basis. We have founding members, including Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, Microsoft, Amazon. Well, you can read from the rest from the list. It's an amazing, set of individuals, and I'm truly honored and blessed to be able to collaborate with such an amazing group of experts across the industry. Next slide. Now, the lack of unified standards, that's why we're launching this through OASIS, and also the scattered guidance in the industry is what actually is making AI security a complex issue nowadays. So we're trying to address this by also working and collaborating with academia, with the public sector, not only companies that you saw the logos represented there, but working in a very, of course, open manner with different universities, other industry efforts like the the Foundation Model Forum and the OpenSSF and many others, and of course the public sector with government organizations as well. Now, we will be developing different techniques for ensuring that AI security is there through the whole life cycle, and our focus is actually addressing AI security challenges in all the phases, including the model development, so creating the model, training environment, security, etc., the integration between AI applications, the implementation, and of course the ongoing monitoring, management, and again the whole life cycle with an AI application. Next slide, please. Now, our initial work is focused on 3 different work streams. One is supply chain security, which, as you can see through the work in other TCs, is very common denominator, right? So software supply chain security, of course, it also applies to AI systems. Whether you're using an open weight or an open source model from Hugging Face, or a commercial implementation, absolutely, this is actually top of mind. And we have a lot of things that we can harmonize and provide some guidance in the industry. The second one is actually preparing defenders for a changing security landscape. What that means is, of course, incident response, the playbooks in place, how we actually going to operationalize security within the organization, and so on. And then the third one is the AI security risk governance section that you see in the screen. And next slide, please. Now, as I mentioned to you, we will be working very closely with other partner organizations. These partners include the Frontier Model Forum, as I mentioned to you before, the Partnership on AI, the OpenSSF, so the Open Source Security Foundation, NIST, ML Commons, and the list actually continues to grow, right? So we want to actually not do an overlap, reinvent the wheel, but actually work with all these organizations and then make sure that we're providing concise guidance to the rest of the industry, and especially for organizations and companies that are not the size of the ones that you saw represented there, right, to protect the whole ecosystem. So our members will make contributions that will include frameworks, leadership, research findings, proven methodologies, or even open source tools. Next slide. So I want to conclude on how you actually participate, right? So you can support, of course, COSI as a sponsor to ensure that the project, is successful. However, the technical participation is free and open to everyone, right? It is an open project. You can contribute to tools. You can, you will see that many GitHub repositories will be created, very, very soon as we're starting to do those 3 work streams in the technical community. And then you can contribute again to all these tools, best practices, and different collaterals. So I am pleased to announce that our technical steering committee, the co-chairs actually have been elected literally last week, and they're already working very closely with the project governing board to launch our 3 work streams in the coming weeks. So we welcome your involvement in the many different ways that I actually mentioned. Thank you again for your attention. Thank you for your time, any potential involvement. And now I would like to pass it back to Gershon.
Thank you, Omar, and thank you to all our speakers today for presenting these great new initiatives. So, moving to motions and questions. As mentioned at the start of the meeting, you're welcome to ask any questions that come to mind or suggest motions or ballots for actions at this meeting by entering them in the question panel of the Zoom interface. Our staff will monitor for any asks and make sure we'll discuss them. But before going into the questions, I will now run through the requirements to determine if we can conduct any official voting business. As you may know, our bylaws provide that voting business of the corporation can only be conducted by the voting members, which generally means OASIS members who have joined as company or institutional members. OASIS individual members are welcome, but are non-voting members according to our bylaws. Our first required task is to determine whether we have a quorum to conduct the annual meeting, and if quorum is not present, we can certainly go on. With questions and answers, but we cannot entertain any motions or ballots for action at this meeting. Anyone with a proposed motion can call for a later meeting or ask our board of directors to run a later written ballot of the membership on the matter. This meeting was duly called by notice to all members sent out on August 1st, more than 10 days ago. August 1st is the record date for determining voting for this meeting, and our records indicated that there were 157 voting members of the corporation on that day. So a quorum this meeting needs is 1/3 of the voting members, which would require 52 of voting members to be present here to do business. Now let me take a moment to check with our staff on the background how many voting members we have present in this meeting. Okay, staff verified the participation, and at this point in time we have 22 voting members present in this meeting. So this number doesn't come close to the 52 voting members we need. So with that, my determination is that voting quorum is not present. We can move forward to discuss any matters that come up, any questions, but we won't be able to adopt any resolutions today. So Jane, do you have any questions lined up for us?
We do have a couple questions. The first question is Form 990s for 501c6 corporations like OASIS are required to be made public. I don't see OASIS's 2023 Form 990. Is it available?
Okay. So this is a specific question to our governance and required filings. Kathy, can I ask you to speak to this question?
Yes. The 990 and the Form 1024 is available by request. It is listed on the OASIS website below the annual report. All you need to do is make a request to accounting@oasisopen.org, and we will provide the information requested.
Okay, thank you. It seems, Jane, if you have on record who asked this question, we can certainly get back to the member and provide them proactively with this report.
Absolutely. Second question, the financial presentation seemed to switch between including the foundations and not. Sometimes financials for OASIS and Associates were shown, notably the 7.3 months of cash, and sometimes notably the budget. OASIS without associates was discussed. How many months of cash does the without associates have TCs and OPs, not foundations like Samvera?
Okay, this is a clear question. Again, this is a financial question. It's maybe too detailed to answer during the call, but let's give it a try. Kathy, do you have this on top of mind, or do you need to look into this and come back at a later time with the appropriate answer?
I will need to come back at a later time. My question would be, are they looking for the number as of December 31st, which is the date that the reports that we've displayed are, or are they looking for a current one, which that information was submitted to the board in the July operations report?
Okay, clear. Jane, again, if you can record the individual that asked this question, we will make sure to come back and answer this question so we are able to provide the correct information.
Absolutely. One final question, and then I think that wraps it up as far as I can see. OASIS allows new projects to launch either as TCs or OPs. Is one of them more popular than the other?
That's actually an interesting question. It depends very much on what type of project is being launched and what one is looking for in one of these projects. So technical committees have always been our default mode for developing open standards, which so to speak to a more formal approach. And open project, on the other hand, provide more flexibility and provide for a wider range of activities which go beyond just standards development. So it depends a little on what a project is looking for. Certainly in the last couple of months, we've seen a steep uptake in open projects at this point in time, but I believe that's very much related to new work coming in and them looking for the appropriate modality to do their work. So there's no easy answer to which one is more popular than the other. It's based on new projects, but the last 6 months, certainly open projects.
We have one more that just came in, if that's okay.
Sure.
So for the new initiatives, please comment on the relationship with other standards making organizations such as ISO, ANSI, other country bodies. To what extent would these new projects collaborate with these organizations?
Okay, collaboration with other standards bodies such as ISO or ANSI or country bodies, for example, in Europe with ETSI, depends a little bit on what a technical committee would like to achieve. If they like to liaise with those standards body in terms of linking work together or working together on these things, that's certainly an option. But also to get to a certain OASIS approved standard and submitting these to other standards bodies for them to progress them in their processes is one of the ways to do this, which we often call path submissions. How to collaborate depends on what the project is and where other interests are being fulfilled within those national or international organization bodies. And we have staff members within OASIS who are very well known within the range of liaisons we can set up. So a specific discussion is required, but so certainly there are options depending on what kind of standards being developed. Any other questions at this time, Jane?
We do have one that just came in as well. So As a longtime member of OASIS, I would like to publicly commend Gershon for serving as the interim executive director as the organization searches for new executive director leadership. So that was a big thank you to you.
Thank you very much for that comment. Much appreciated. It does come with the role of being a chair of the board, but I really appreciate the comment. Thank you very much.
And that appears to be all the questions that came into the question box.
Okay, thank you. So let's move to closure. As we conclude today's annual general meeting, I'd like to thank each of you for your participation and continued support for OASIS. Your engagement is critical to our success, and we are truly grateful to have such a dedicated and passionate community. If you have any other questions or thoughts following today's discussion, please don't hesitate to reach out to us through our usual channels. We're always here to listen and assist. And on behalf of the entire OASIS team and board of directors, we look forward to serving you in 2024. Together, we'll continue to drive progress, foster innovation, and create value for all of our members. Thank you again for joining us today. And with that, I officially close the meeting.